Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are watching us from. My name is Comfort Olu Eyitayo, your regular host for the Connect with Comfort show. On this program, we aim to add value to people on business enterprise and their personal growth. Each show is organized to feature guests who are subject matter experts that will throw more insights on the topic of the day. I am excited that you are able to join us today, and I say you are most welcome. The topic for discussion today is global mobility and business funding. This topic is particularly relevant in our interconnected world, where businesses of all sizes are constantly seeking opportunities beyond their borders. The concept of mobility transcends geographical boundaries and has become an integral part of how businesses operate. Whether you represent a multinational corporation, a startup with global aspiration, or a financial institution, understanding the dynamics of global mobility and its profound impact on businesses funding is crucial for success and sustainability. Over the next 30 minutes, we will explore various dimensions of this complex topic. We'll find out how global mobility trends are shaping business strategies, the challenges and opportunities they also present, and the innovative funding solutions that are emerging as a response to these changes. Once again, I say you are most welcome. Thank you for joining us to examine this very important topic, global mobility and business funding. Without much ado, let us kick-start the discussion, but after this short break. Stay connected, we'll be right back. Thank you.
35 years of lifting weights, and open heart surgery, dying 3 times on the operating table, CT. So you should sit down, sir, because of your diagnosis, and don't do a damn thing. Bullshit. Hell no. every time I go to the doctor, they tell me what I shouldn't be doing and what I should be doing and what I won't do and what I can't do. And I politely go out the door and do whatever the fuck I want to do. And I'm going to do that until they throw dirt on top of me. This is my life. And I choose to live it the way I want to live it. It's impossible. I've heard that so many times. It's just impossible. Can't be done. It is impossible until some crazy son of a bitch has the audacity to believe that no matter what the expert or the doctor says, I can still do that shit.
You are most welcome. Thank you for staying connected. This is the segment where we welcome our guests. Our distinguished guest for today's topic is none other than Mrs. Oluwadamilola Soyombo. Mrs. Oluwadamilola Soyombo is a technopreneur and software development expert. I am glad that you are able to join us today and willing and ready to share great insights on this very interesting topic. Join me in making welcome Mrs. Oluwadamilola Soyombo. You are welcome to Connect with Comfort Show. Damilola.
Hello.
Nice to have you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we can hear
Thank
you.
so much. Really glad to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, like I said, we'll go straight away with the questions. And the very first one, understandably, is for us to understand what do we mean by this topic we are treating, global mobility, as it relates in the context of funding for businesses.
Okay. Great question. So first of all, I would like to start with what global mobility means in general. And basically it means like your business capacity to seamlessly operate and expand across borders. So I'm the founder of Skooks, and I'm also the executive director of the Creative Kids Zone. So basically, in my experience as the CEO of Skooks, we define global mobility as our readiness to be able to identify and engage with different educational opportunities in various global markets, being able to tailor the solution we have to digital education to meet diverse demands. So yes, your company's ability to be able to navigate the different trends and profile solutions outside of your home market, right? And also apply for opportunities and reach out to opportunities outside of your home market into various international markets, is what global mobility means.
Okay, thank you very much. How does global mobility impact a company's ability to secure funding for its international expansion plans?
From my experience, when we wanted to demonstrate global mobility, it was actually pivotal when we were sourcing for funding in order to have expansions. Now, investors or funders typically want to see your commitment to being able to adapt to like diverse markets, right? And that gives them that interest to be able to or say, oh, I want to invest in you, I want to fund this thing you're doing. For instance, we're able to secure funding from an impact driven organization because they saw our readiness to scale the digital skills training we're doing for children here in Lagos, Nigeria, into different states in Nigeria and even into different countries like Ghana, Kenya, and the likes. So your readiness to be able to expand and say, okay, now I'm ready to take what I'm doing, my solution, even onto a larger audience, right? All of that play a huge part when it comes to securing funding.
Okay, thank you very much. What are the key challenges that businesses face when seeking funding for global mobility initiatives?
Now, yes, I know it's an easy word to talk about, okay, or global mobility, but it actually comes with, I would say, a lot of challenges. And one of the challenges one will probably encounter is like the difference in like the foreign regulations, right? So most of the time, you probably need to have like your documents up to standard, up to date. Yes, sometimes a lot of businesses, even the local Nigerian documents, they don't have that on ground, like the SCUMO, the tax clearance, and all of those things. But when it comes to global mobility, all your documents need to be intact because those companies, the global companies, the foreign companies, follow a strict regulation. Additionally, it's one challenge you might also encounter is around building your brand recognition in new markets. Now, you've probably made a promise or made a goal, say, okay, I want to go global, I want to expand my reach, all right? But it's a huge work to actually keep building your brand, that consistency, so that even in whichever new market you expand to, you retain that niche and retain that brand color people know you for. And I think another, when it comes to investment funding, like things that are not grants, for instance, the change in the forex exchange, like dollar to naira, pounds, and all of those things, also affects a lot of companies, or it poses a challenge. So to secure funding, it's essential that you demonstrate a clear strategy to address all of these challenges. Right, you need to have like a risk mitigation um, plan in place, right? So that it will increase whichever funder is coming to put in funds into your business.
Okay, so we need to get our documentation right.
Yes.
That is very key. Can you explain the role of venture capital in supporting global mobility initiatives for startups and emerging businesses?
Very, very great question. In terms of venture capital is very instrumental when it comes to supporting the startup ecosystem or global mobility in general. When it comes to venture capital firms that have a global focus, so they don't just bring only funding or money into your company, but they also provide you with valuable networks and insights into the international market you're going to. For instance, if you say, okay, I'm expanding to South Africa. So what they do is to provide you with access to individuals or people who can help make your transition or entering into that market really smooth, right? So collaborating with like venture capital firms help you get access, get resources, and helps you expand your global reach faster.
Good. One thing that can impact these choices of funding is government policies and regulations in different countries. This can affect the options that is available to businesses pursuing global mobility strategies. So how do we take this on?
Um, yes. So most of the time, government policies actually have a significant impact on funding options, right? So when you're expanding globally, you have to navigate like diverse regulatory landscape. And one of the things I think we're required to do was to have like an NIPC registration, meaning okay, if you want to have an international company, for instance, right, that's certificate you need to have it that shows okay you have the right, or investors from global or international companies have the right to invest in your company, right? So all of those policies and regulations are put in place by the government one way or the other to protect your business, right? And one thing you need to do when it comes to regulations and policies is always work closely with legal experts. Don't say, okay, I can do it myself, especially when it comes to global mobility, right? You need to work with legal experts to ensure that your every document you need is there, that you're actually compliant with all the regulations, so as to reassure whatever investor or funder that is coming your way.
Okay, in like manner that we're thinking about the impact of government policies, there's also an important perspective that can affect the funding options, and that is cultural differences and market dynamics across different regions, which can influence the funding decision. So, do you want to throw more light on this?
Okay. For cultural dynamics, I'm trying to put a perspective. So basically, when it comes to cultural dynamics, it's all about understanding what exactly are like the differences, right? What are the differences in the new market you're entering? For instance, there could be a language barrier. So for some companies, they've had to um, translate probably English into French when they're expanding to francophone countries, right? So most of those times, it's always better like you equip your team with someone who understands the culture of the country you're expanding to, right? Someone who fully understands, okay, these are the different things you might experience when you're entering this new country. So like it doesn't hit you by surprise and you're like, oh, I didn't prepare for this. Or I spent a lot of money expanding into this country, but why are they not buying my product? Right. So you have to take all of those things into consideration as well.
Okay. Are there specific financial instruments or tools designed to facilitate global mobility, such as trade finance or export import financing?
In terms of like special, yes, there are. There are when it comes to global mobility. There's some venture capital firms that would strictly say this fund is for those expanding into new markets, right? Into new countries, right? There's some impact investors that have a global focus, right? You also have international grants that one of the criteria is that your solution has to be provided to an audience outside of your home country. So and like there are also partnership with like educational institutions that we also um like took part in, right? So being able to expand, so when we're expanding Spooks and TCK Zone, for instance, we're able to secure grants from organizations that are dedicated to advancing digital economy in like underserved regions, right? So their goal was to ensure that they hit the SDG 4 goal of ensuring that every child has like quality education. So if there is an organization like that and they have a grant, when they see that okay, you're expanding to global markets, they are always very excited to look at your application and say, okay, let's see how this person can utilize this funds. Let's see how this person can actually take this solution that they have built for their own local audience into a global audience.
Very true. What are the pros and cons of using debt financing versus equity financing for global mobility projects? What are the advantages, disadvantages?
So, debt financing, yes, it offers you funding without diluting your ownership, right? What it means that the person giving you the money doesn't get to own shares or equity in your business, right? But debt financing comes with interest. um financing comes with interest payment and also repayment obligations, right? For instance, you have to hit a certain milestone, at a certain timeline. If not, this is you have to repay our money and all of those things, right? Whereas equity financing involves giving up like ownership, but may provide you like more valuable expertise and like connections from the investors. So most of the time, it all depends on your company goals, right? It depends on your company goals and what you're trying to achieve. If what you're trying to achieve, for instance, you have set your projections that say, okay, if I can get this amount of money and we expand globally, we'll make X amount in return, right? If you're certain of that, yes, fine and good, you can go for debt financing because you know that you're going to make the money back with interest on it, right? And but if you want a more long-term plan, which is what equity financing gives you, right? It gives you that opportunity to say, okay, yes, if all and good, if this global mobility does the expansion doesn't work out, well, this person still owns equity in my company. I can still keep growing in my local community, and the person keeps getting dividend compared to, oh, if your global mobility or your global expansion doesn't work out, then you don't have any money to repay back the debt, which is something or a situation you don't want to be in.
That can actually lead to the folding of the business, which is
Yes.
a major risk. Okay. How can businesses effectively leverage international partnership and collaborations to secure funding for global mobility initiatives?
Um, as a business, you can leverage partnership to access funding through the local market knowledge and different distribution channels. What do I mean by that? Join communities, right? Like I'm a part of a lot of startups, so founder communities, um, organizations, and what they do is from time to time when there are opportunities like that, because they know your goal and they know okay what you're trying to achieve, they can easily tell you that okay, this opportunity is available, you should apply. So for instance, from time to time, from my mentors, from my coaches, um, from different accelerator program I've been in, the different channels, organizations I've collaborated with one way or the other. Sometimes time they send me newsletters, they send me, okay, this opportunity is available. okay, why don't you go for it? Why don't you apply for it? And also some of them even like recommend or serve like as a reference for you to apply for those things, right? So collaboration is very essential, and when it comes to expanding, because even international, when it comes to global mobility initiative, like when they fund you, they actually don't want you to work alone. Normally, in the application, they'll ask you, who are your partners? Or who are the people who will be partnering with you on this project, right? They want to know that you are credible. And also, it also helps them reduce the risk. So it's not just you bearing the entire risk. Like you have partners you're working with, you have people that can vouch for you, sort of, right? And this actually helps make them trust you and like fund you. I have an example of one of my applications. So what they said is, okay, tell any of your partners to send us an email like introducing you and sharing their experience with you. So basically, if at that point you don't have any partner who can like beat their chest and say, okay, I've worked with this company and I can vouch for them and say, okay, yes, you can fund them, or yes, their books are in order, yes, their business, they do business well, right? If you don't have that at that point, you know that you've lost out at that stage of that application process. So it's always important to effectively leverage like partnerships, collaborations at like different any opportunity you get.
That's very true. Thank you very much. We will go on a short break and we'll be right back. Please remain connected.
I wanted to give up. I'm done with all the things I'm going through. I'm trying to keep my head up. I try to win, but every time I lose. Should be getting better. I try, but I don't know what to do. Hope this ain't forever. I just wanna make a breakthrough, but something inside said never give up. All of these setbacks are major setups. If I keep on fighting, if I keep on trying, if I aim for the sky, one day things will go my way. One day things will go my way. One day things will go my way. I've got it.
Welcome back. You should keep on trying, never give up. One day it will come our way. That's the message of that video. Very, very real. The next question, Dami, is what are strategies that businesses can employ to mitigate risk associated with funding global mobility projects, such as currency fluctuations or political instability? So how do we mitigate against such risk?
Like I mentioned before in one of the questions, as one of the challenges that might occur, I mentioned currency fluctuation as well. So the major thing is to be prepared for it, because yes, it would happen, right? So that's the first, I would say that's the first strategy. Always be prepared for it and put in um put things in place. Now, when it now comes to putting things in place, it's very important, one thing, to diversify your market presence. So that one is about geopolitical risks, right? Diversify your market presence. So for instance, don't just be enclosed in one location, maybe Lagos, for instance. If What if there's a crisis in Lagos? Does that mean your business doesn't move or work anymore? So try to have a market presence in other places as much as you can. Also, what you can do is conducting thorough due diligence. So you need to do your research, do your findings, and try to understand, okay, for this particular funding I'm receiving, what are the clauses, what are the terms? Okay, if I receive this, for instance, if you do debt financing now for your global mobility project, right? If you do debt financing and they give you, let's say, for example, $100, right? If they give you $100 and the interest rate is 5%, and then that $100 at the time you're receiving the funding was $701 to 700 naira, and then in 6 months' time, that 700 naira becomes 1,000 naira. You see that apart from the interest that you have to pay on that debt funding, it's not just the interest you're not worried about now. You're worried about actually paying back the money itself that is collected because of the change in the interest rate. A lot of founders, a lot of people go into depression, they go into, because, or they start laying off staffs and all of those things because they did not prepare for this, right? So this preparing for this helps you even understand, oh, should I even go for debt financial, should I go for equity, should I just go for and stick to grants, right? Also, staying informed about regulatory changes. For instance, if naira or dollar, or there'll be any currency fluctuation, if there'll be any currency fluctuation, one way or the other, you would have started seeing the signs either from the news, from social media, from you would have started seeing the signs one way or the other that something is about to happen. So it's always better to be well prepared. And I'll often also say this: try to keep your money in the currency you received it um, at, and only change the one you need per time. That's also something that can help you when it comes to currency fluctuation. For instance, if you receive the money in pounds, keep a larger amount of it still in pounds, and then only change the one you need to spend, like, into the your own local currency per time. Um, yeah, so this is like the different strategies that can help you mitigate like the different risks when it comes to like currency fluctuations and then political instability.
Okay, so you hedge against fluctuations and as much as possible maintain a kind of funding in the hard currencies so that you are not badly hit.
Yeah.
I think we take a hint from that. How does the maturity and industry of a business impact its ability to attract global funding for mobility initiatives? How long do you have to be in business for, and things like that?
This is a very essential question. Very key role when it comes to attracting global funding, right? I I started my business, the NGO, in 2019, and I was telling my coach like earlier this evening, like when I started, like there was, even though I was applying for these opportunities, I wasn't getting them. I was always getting rejected and all. And back then I kept asking myself, why? And then just recently we got a huge grant, right? And I then realized that it was all about the track record we've been able to build, right? Companies or funders that want to give you money need to see what have you done even if it's what have you done with your personal money first for this company, that will now make me say, let me put in my own money into your business, right? That's one thing. Also, industries also matter. Like when you talk about technology or healthcare, education, like things relating to the SDG goals, it's always very easy to get opportunities when it comes to global funding, because the global organization care about these things. So if you can tie your business to any of these goals, any of these sectors, then you're more likely to attract a global fund, right? So these two things play a key role. So don't just start a company now and you expect, oh, because I'm seeing so many people raising funding, me too, I can raise funding. You just start and you just feel, oh, money is going to drop. It doesn't work like that. It takes time, it takes you building a track record for yourself personally and also for the company that you want to raise that secure funding for.
That's very instructive. It makes sense. We have to see your standing to know that it's not throwing good money after bad. So you have to be able to manage personal fund before you. Okay,
Yes.
thank you for that. What role do international financial institutions such as World Bank or Regional Development Bank play in supporting global mobility initiatives or projects?
Okay. So when it comes to international financial institution, so what they do is they provide financing, technical assistance and guarantees to support larger projects, right? And then this larger project, for instance, now bring the money to smaller investors or smaller companies. So World Bank, for instance, can fund maybe Bank of Industry or something like that. And then Bank of Industry now comes to SMEs and say, okay, we want to give you okay, World Bank can say, okay, there's this $1 billion dollar fund we have. Bank of Industry come and take. Then the Bank of Industry takes it and I'll say, okay, there are 900 SMEs in Nigeria. We want to give them 2 million each, right? So those are like the key roles international financial institutions play, right? They help provide um, support to like bigger global mobility projects, especially in like emerging markets, right? So they
To
play
support
a
the
very
institutions, to support
exactly support
the smaller.
businesses.
Are there any recent trends or innovations in global mobility financing that businesses should be aware of?
Yes. So one very huge trend you would hear everywhere is sustainability. Sustainability. Is your business sustainable? What are your sustainability plans? That is one thing that you would see in every application now when it comes to getting a global fund. Also, you would hear words like impact investing, right? So if you don't you don't want equity, you don't want debt financing, you can look out for impact investors, right? Instead of just searching for investors, right? There are impact investors that are not just focused on the return on investment, but they are focused on the impact you want to make, right? So those are people you can look out for. Also, there is the SDG goals, like I mentioned. Apart from SDG goals, there's the ESG goals. That's environmental, social, and governance considerations. You can read more on all of these things online. So those are like things that are becoming more and more important. And also, when you hear underserved communities, when they hear underserved communities, they're always like, Yes, we're listening, right? So all of these keywords, all of these things are becoming more and more important when it comes to assessing global financing.
Okay. How can businesses balance the need for short-term funding with the long-term financial sustainability of their global mobility efforts?
Yes. So people would say, if you spend the money you have that I give you now, if you spend it well, then I would want to give you more. It's the same thing with these opportunities or global funders. So you have to strike a balance by planning for your long-term sustainability. Okay, your long-term sustainability is, okay, for instance, having a $1 million fund coming into your business, right? But the funding you have access to now is maybe $20,000. Thing is, how can you judiciously use that $20,000? What impact can you make with it? What profit, what revenue, what amount of for in my case, students can you reach with that small money you have now? Can you carefully document all your expenses, like have a very good financial management that shows your expenses, your budget, your income, all of those things properly documented? And then are there ways of, if for instance this funding stops coming, would your business still
To
strive?
continue.
Yes, would it still strive? So you need to, they look out for ways of, okay, this $20,000, if we stop giving you this $20,000, is that your business will just die. You don't have any way of making revenue on your own as a business. You are depending on donation, you're depending on
This,
grant. They don't want that. So it's very important. So, and also cost-effective strategies, right? Cost-effective strategies. You want to always go for low cost, high impact whenever you're planning for a long-term financial sustainability, right? So it's very important to have all of this in mind. So even if you have a short-term funding, how can you utilize that very well, right? And show them results and say, okay, this is what I did with this 20 naira you gave me.
little, yeah,
Yes, then they can now multiply it and give you more.
makes sense. Thank you very much. Can you provide examples of successful businesses that effectively secured funding for their global mobility initiatives and the strategies they employed?
Okay. So one example that comes to the top of my head is like Uber, right? Um, we all know that Uber is not like a Nigerian like company, but they secured funding to be able to come into international markets. And what they did was being able to leverage strategic partnership. So, for instance, Uber partnered with Move, and then they have like Uber Go now, right? So that they can penetrate diverse regions, so that they can go into more um, regions, right? So those are like different things you need to look out for, right? Partnership, right? Um, Collaboration. So when it comes to being a successful business that would scale or secure funding to go globally, these strategies are very, very key.
Thank you very much, Damilola. You have done wonderfully well, sharing these great insights on this very important topic, because I believe everybody is looking at how they can get that cherished dollar, so looking beyond their boundaries. beyond Nigeria to make sure that they make businesses across the border, both for expansion and also for the enrichment of the bottom line. So you have done very well by sharing your great insights, and we appreciate you very much. I'm sure our online audience have gained one or two new tips, I would say, from what they have already on this very important topic. Thank you very much. Next time when we come calling, I hope you accommodate us still. Thank you for your time. God
Thank you
bless you.
so much. It was great to be here. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
So, viewers, please remain connected. We go for a short break and we'll be right back for the wrap up session. You are welcome back. I'm sure you have enjoyed the session with our guest. This is the wrap up section, just touching a summary on some of the points raised during the interview section. We have been made to understand what global mobility means in the context of businesses. This refers to ability of individuals and companies to move and operate across international borders. I think it's that simple. Then we looked at the importance of global mobility. One of such is that it is crucial for business in today's interconnected world to have that global mobility. And so many for so many reasons, apart from growth, you also want to use it as a point of diversification and hedging against risk. Should anything happen in one region, you do not have all your eggs in one basket, as they say. So it's very important, and it also allows companies to tap into new markets, access talent globally, and diversify their operation, as I have said. Then we talked about access to funding. Funding sources are many, and we have wider range of funding sources, which include international investors, venture capitalists, and even grants, including government grants. So we need to understand the various aspects of funding that is out there, the one we can tap into, the one that is applicable to our business, and the one that we can actually adapt our business to fit into, because our guests told us that there are some criteria that we need to meet for us to be able to access some types of funding. For instance, we have foreign direct investment. This requires companies to be in partnership, like she has said. For them, they also are more assured if, like, they are not only dealing with one person in terms of the security of their funding. If you are in partnership, it gives more assurance to investors and those perhaps that will be giving you grants, to know that they are not just throwing the money away. So these are things we need to consider. Then the expansion aspect for business growth. When you expand into new markets, obviously you have a wider base. and you have an increased revenue base as well, and the growth potential is higher. There are challenges, we understand. In every situation, you have pros and cons. The challenges include, like we have talked about, um, forex differences in culture, language barriers, legal and regulatory complexities, and all that. But some of these, you can actually work around it. Like our guest intimated us that you can get somebody, either hire somebody, or you have somebody within your organization that can speak the language of the new market that you are going into, or find a way around it, get somebody trained just to make sure that you combat that. And then also understand the cultural differences, make some research, you know, the legal and the regulatory complexity of that region, to make sure that you don't get your fingers burnt. Funding strategy, as we discussed before, you need to know the conditions. There are many types of funding. You need to know the conditions to fulfill to get these funds or grants, or even if it's debt financing. Although you have to do your research to make sure that you take the right option that will not get your business into trouble. Documentation is very key, like we have been told, and it's understandable because people that are not there with you where you are running your businesses would depend on the information they are able to get from documentation, properly kept documents. So it's important, if you have not started doing that, to make sure that you keep record of all your activities, and it's also serve as track record for you going forward. Then the technological role is there. We have global mobility such as digital payment system, online crowdfunding, and virtual collaboration tools. We talked about mitigating the risk associated with global mobility, and this include political stability, currency fluctuation, and market volatility. For all this, you can adopt strategies to mitigate or reduce to a bare minimum to what it will impact on your business. Then you also look into future trends, look at what is going on, what is trending, make some study of the areas that you want to go into and what is required. In conclusion, we have looked at all that we set out to touch on, like emphasizing the symbiotic relationship between the global mobility and business funding for companies looking to thrive in the global marketplace. From all this, it is clear through our discussion that a well thought out funding strategy is the cornerstone for any successful global mobility initiative. Whether it is securing venture capital, exploring international partnership, or utilizing government incentives, the choice we make in funding can significantly influence the trajectory of our businesses on the global stage. The pursuit of global mobility and sustainable business growth is an ongoing journey, and forums like this serve as a crucial catalyst for progress. With the right funding strategies and global mindset, we can transcend borders and make a lasting impact on the global stage. I would like to appreciate all of you for joining us today for this show, for sparing time to connect with us. Please keep in touch with us for further assistance on this topic or any topic we have covered before. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Comfort Eyitayo. Once you have subscribed, please turn on the notification button, like and share our videos. Stay tuned with information about upcoming events, solutions, and offers on my Instagram account at Comfort Eyitayo, as well as my Facebook account at Comfort Eyitayo. Till I come your way again, let us continue to collaborate, share knowledge, and derive positive change in the world of global businesses. Thank you very much. God bless you.